About a year ago, I bought a Boxster, a car overlooked by a community whose obsession with horsepower caused them to miss out on one of the best deals around. Or so I thought. I figured people were sleeping on these because they look a little, I don't know, dainty. Admittedly, this isn't a car you buy if you're trying to keep up that tough guy image. But my other car's named after a flower, so I think that ship sailed anyway. So on a total whim, I bought this. The little roadster from hell. This wonderful, unassuming, beautiful, awful car. My feelings about this car are more volatile than Tesla's stock price. So to really get a good idea of the ups and downs of Boxster ownership, we just gotta go drive it. First though, let's talk a little about the Boxster's image. This car is really unique in terms of how differently it's perceived by car people versus non-car people. If you tell most people you drive a Porsche, they're gonna assume you're trying to flex. Most people don't know this costs about the same as a used Camry. And to people who are into cars, you might as well be driving the Camry. Everything about this car is just so safe. I mean, from the subtle styling to the brand behind it, if you're buying a Boxster, you're in real well-traveled territory. It doesn't really help matters that the Boxster's not particularly fast, as proved by me getting chased down by some guy in a modded pickup truck. So if you do buy a Boxster, most people are going to think you're kind of a snob, car people will think you're boring, and on top of that, you're going to get run off the road by pickup trucks. So why buy one? To put it simply, this is probably the best handling car you're going to get for $10,000. It's mid-engine, so all the weight sits right in the middle of the car, and turn in and little steering corrections are super effortless. This one's got 217 horsepower, which is about the same as a modern 911. If the 911's missing half its cylinders, admittedly. But like that modern 911, it's still a flat 6, so the engine's really low, and the center of gravity of the vehicle is also pretty far down there. That paired with some decently stiff springs means this thing just doesn't roll around on you a whole lot. Now, at low speeds, this makes for a driving experience that's honestly kind of boring. Doesn't roll around on you, steering's super predictable. It's a little dull, frankly. But once you start to open it up, those same properties make this thing just really come alive. You know, the fact that you're not going to be on a roller coaster every time you go through a turn or make a little steering correction, it just gives you a lot more confidence to be able to push this car around a little bit. The result is a car that, frankly, is not a lot of fun below, I don't know, 50 miles an hour. But once you're on a road where you can open it up, not a ton, but to, 60 or 70, it's a great, great car. It's worth noting, I didn't really see myself in one of these as a kid. I always imagined myself in an old Camaro or a Mustang or even my old Lotus, but not a Boxster. But I've been fixing up old Otis the Lotus here for almost 2 years now, and I've only driven it for about 2 hours in total. Now, partially that's because I've been rebuilding the car, but the other thing is, it just scares the hell out of me. It's got a fiberglass body that makes the Ford Pinto look like the safety pick of the year, and on top of that, you can't see anything out of the rear windows. Also, for those of you who haven't noticed yet, this thing doesn't have side view mirrors. To own one of these at all, you gotta be a little crazy, but to push one hard outside of an autocross course or a racetrack, you'd have to be out of your mind. The Boxster doesn't have the same charm and intrigue as the Lotus, or as a lot of other cars for that matter. But if you can look past its lack of cool factor, what you're left with is a really simple but really excellent car. I wish that was it. Super well set up, mid-engine convertible for a little more than a Miata. There's one small problem. So, turns out these aren't the most reliable. Here's what I've replaced in the year and change that I've owned the car. I did the spark plug tubes, the air oil separator, and the crankcase ventilation valve. Together, these were causing oil to drip out of the spark plug tubes and onto the engine. I also did some more routine maintenance like battery and tires. But on top of that, I had this persistent overheating issue and ended up replacing the water pump before realizing the fan resistor had failed. I had a convertible top gear brake, and the other day my axle bolt snapped off and left me stranded in a parking lot. It was a good day to have AAA. It's worth noting, like Boxsters do have some reliability issues, but my case has been pretty exceptional. I suspect, based on the rate that I discovered these after buying the car, the previous owner probably knew about some of them and just didn't tell me.
This leaves me in a tough spot with this car. I like driving it, I like the way it looks, and I love the fact that it bats so far above its price point just because people think they're kind of uncool. But even doing all the work on it myself, I'm in a couple $1,000s on top of the initial price. Overall, though, I still really recommend the Boxster. I think they're a great deal. They're fun, confidence-inspiring cars that frankly have no business being as cheap as they are. But if you do what I did and you buy one without getting it inspected first, definitely get that AAA membership and a good set of tools. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you next time.